What if the thing that's supposed to restore your body every night is actually making things worse? Not your diet, not your exercise habits, not stress, sleep. The one thing that's supposed to fix everything. Because here's what most people never think about. It's not just how much you sleep. It's how you sleep. The position your body spends 6, 7, 8 hours in every single night has a real measurable impact on your spine, your joints, your circulation, your breathing, even your brain. And for most people, especially once you're past 50, the position they've been sleeping in for decades, it's quietly causing damage they don't even connect to sleep. You wake up with a stiff neck and think, I just slept funny. You've got this dull ache in your lower back every morning and you figure, well, that's just age. Your hands are tingling when you get up and you assume it'll work itself out. And sometimes it does, but sometimes that's your body telling you something important, and you're hitting the snooze button on that message too. So in this video, we're going to go through 4 sleep positions that are genuinely problematic for people over 60, why they're harmful, what they're doing to your body while you're completely unaware, and then 4 alternatives you can actually try, even if you've been sleeping the same way your whole life. Some of these adjustments are small, some of them take a little getting used to, but the difference they can make in how you feel when you wake up and in your long-term joint and nerve health is real. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's talk about what's actually happening in your body while you sleep. Because I think once you understand the mechanics of this, the rest of the video is going to make a lot more sense. When you're young, 20s, 30s, your body is remarkably good at compensating. Your muscles are more resilient. Your discs have more fluid in them. Your joints have better cartilage cushioning. So even if you sleep in a slightly awkward position, your body absorbs it. You wake up fine, maybe a little stiff for a few minutes, but it resolves fast. That changes as we age, and it doesn't happen overnight. It creeps up on you. Here's what's going on. The intervertebral discs in your spine, those little cushions between each vertebra, they lose hydration over time. They get thinner, less shock absorbent, and those discs do most of their rehydration while you sleep, when pressure is off the spine. So the position you sleep in directly affects how well that recovery process works. A position that keeps the spine in a neutral alignment. Your discs get a chance to recover. A position that puts the spine in a twisted or compressed state for 8 hours? You're waking up with discs that didn't fully recover, and over months and years, that adds up. At the same time, the muscles that support your spine, they're not as elastic as they used to be. They tighten faster. They stay tight longer. So if you sleep in a position that keeps certain muscles shortened or under strain all night, you're waking up with those muscles in a semi-contracted state. That's where a lot of that morning stiffness actually comes from, not just getting older. Your muscles have been working, or overworking, while you slept. And then there's nerve compression. This is the one I really want you to pay attention to. Certain sleep positions put sustained pressure on major nerves. The sciatic nerve running through your hips and legs, the ulnar nerve along the inside of your elbow. For a young person, that pressure might cause some temporary tingling that goes away in minutes. For someone over 60, with nerves that are already a little more vulnerable and circulation that isn't quite as robust, sustained nerve compression during sleep can cause symptoms that linger for hours, sometimes longer, and repeated over time. Well, let me come back to that in a moment because that's important. There's also circulation to consider. Certain positions restrict blood flow to your extremities. Again, something your body handled easily at 35 that becomes more significant at 65. And one more thing. Actually, let me back up and frame this correctly, because I don't want to overstate it. I'm not saying that the wrong sleep position is going to cause catastrophic damage in a single night. That's not what's happening. What I am saying is this: sleep position is a sustained nightly load on your body, 6 to 8 hours, every day, 365 days a year. A bad position isn't an injury. It's an accumulation. And that's exactly why it's so easy to miss until it's already become a problem. So with that in mind, let's talk about the specific positions causing the most damage and what to do instead. Position number 1, sleeping on your stomach. This one is probably the worst offender. And I know, a lot of people are stomach sleepers. It feels comfortable. It's what your body's used to. But here's what's actually happening when you sleep face down. To breathe with your face in a pillow, you have to turn your head to one side. Left or right doesn't matter. What that means is your cervical spine, the 7 vertebrae in your neck, are rotated to one side for the entire night. Not slightly rotated, significantly rotated, and your neck muscles on one side are shortened, on the other side they're stretched. For 6, 7, 8 hours straight. Think about what would happen if you walked around all day with your head turned to the right. How would your neck feel by evening? Now do that every night for years. And it's not just the neck. When you're lying face down, the natural curve of your lower spine, that gentle inward curve called the lumbar lordosis, it gets flattened or even reversed by the mattress. The muscles along your lower back end up in a shortened, compressed position all night. This is one of the most common sources of that morning lower back ache that so many people just accept as normal. The research on this is pretty clear. Sleep medicine literature has consistently identified prone sleeping as the position most associated with cervical pain and lumbar strain, particularly in older adults whose spinal structures have less tolerance for sustained, awkward loading. It's not even close. Stomach sleeping is the one position that virtually every spine specialist will tell you to move away from. The alternative? Back sleeping with a pillow under your knees. Now, back sleeping is generally considered the best position for spinal alignment, but with one critical addition. A lot of people try back sleeping and find it uncomfortable, and the reason is usually that they're lying completely flat. When you lie flat on your back with your legs straight, it actually pulls on the lower back and creates tension through the lumbar spine. The fix is simple. Put a pillow, or 2, depending on what feels right, under your knees, just enough to create a slight bend. What that does is allow your lower spine to settle into its natural curve instead of being pulled flat. It takes the tension off the lumbar muscles and the hip flexors. A lot of people find it dramatically more comfortable than flat back sleeping. And your neck is straight, your spine is aligned, your discs are rehydrating in a neutral position all night. If you're a die-hard stomach sleeper, I'm not going to tell you it's easy to switch. It takes a few weeks for your body to adapt. But start with a thinner pillow under your head, or sometimes no pillow at all, and a firm pillow under your knees. Give it a real try. Position number 2, sleeping on your side with your knees pulled up tight, the full fetal position. Side sleeping overall is actually one of the better options. But the way most people do it creates its own set of problems. And this is where it gets interesting. When you curl up tight, knees pulled all the way toward your chest, chin tucked down, arms folded in. You're spending the night with your spine in flexion, curved forward, and the muscles along the back of your hips and glutes are in a lengthened, stretched state all night. Meanwhile, the muscles along the front of your hip flexors, the deep muscles that pull your knee toward your chest, are shortened and compressed. For people who already have hip tightness or sciatic nerve issues, this position can aggravate both. The tight fetal curl puts the piriformis muscle, which sits right over the sciatic nerve, in a position where it can press on that nerve through the night. If you're waking up with hip pain or that radiating ache down the back of your leg, this might be part of what's driving it. And that's where the alternative comes in. The alternative? Supported side sleeping with a pillow between the knees. Same starting position? On your side. But a few adjustments. First, don't curl all the way up. Keep a slight bend in your knees, not a tight fetal curl. Your spine should be roughly straight or close to it. Second, and this one makes a huge difference, put a pillow between your knees. When you stack your knees without support, the top leg drops forward and down, which pulls your pelvis into a twist and creates rotation all the way up the lumbar spine. A pillow between the knees keeps your hips stacked, keeps your pelvis level, and removes that rotational strain from the lower spine completely. Some people use a regular bed pillow. Some people prefer a longer body pillow they can wrap around. Either works. What matters is that your hips stay aligned. This is one of those changes that seems almost too simple. But I hear from people all the time who've dealt with hip and lower back pain for years, made this one adjustment, and noticed a difference within the first week. It doesn't fix everything, but it removes a nightly source of strain that was quietly compounding every single night. Stay with me, because the next 2 positions are the ones that tend to surprise people the most. Position number 3. Sleeping with your arm bent under your head or pillow. This one is so common. You're on your side, or somewhere between your side and your stomach, and your arm is folded under your pillow or tucked beneath your head. Elbow cranked up at a sharp angle. Feels natural. A lot of people do it without even thinking about it. But what that position does to your nerves is something most people completely underestimate. When you sleep with your elbow bent at a sharp angle, especially pressed under your body weight, you're putting direct, sustained compression on the ulnar nerve. That's the nerve that runs along the inside of your elbow, the one that gives you that electric jolt when you hit your funny bone. Now imagine that nerve is being compressed, not for a second, but for hours, night after night. What you typically feel first is tingling or numbness in your ring finger and pinky finger. Maybe your hand feels weak in the morning, hard to grip things. You shake it out, and it goes away, and you don't think much of it. But here's where I want to be direct with you, because this is the part most people miss entirely. There's a condition called cubital tunnel syndrome, which is essentially chronic ulnar nerve compression, and sleep position is one of the leading contributors to it. Research published in the Journal of Hand Surgery has documented the connection between sustained elbow flexion during sleep and progressive ulnar nerve dysfunction. And the word progressive is the one I want you to sit with. This isn't a static problem. Left unaddressed, it can worsen over time. We're talking about permanent nerve damage, weakness in the hand that doesn't resolve, difficulty with fine motor tasks, buttoning a shirt, turning a key, holding a pen. And I need you to really hear this. I've spoken with people who are active, independent, capable, who developed significant hand weakness that traced directly back to years of sleeping in a position that compressed that nerve night after night. They didn't connect the dots until the damage was already done. Not catastrophic, but real and lasting. I'm telling you this because it's preventable, completely preventable, but only if you change the position before the damage accumulates, not after. The alternative, keeping your arm extended, supported alongside your body. The fix here is about two things: elbow position and shoulder position. When you're on your side, your bottom arm should be extended, relatively straight, resting in front of you or alongside your body, not cranked up under your head, not bent at a sharp angle. If you need something to do with that arm, a body pillow is actually ideal. Something long you can drape your arm over so it stays in a supported neutral position without tucking under your head. For your top arm, the one that's not under you, let it rest on your hip or on the body pillow. Don't let it drop across your chest and curl in, which can start pulling your shoulder and upper spine out of alignment. It takes conscious effort to change an arm habit during sleep. You can start by positioning yourself correctly as you fall asleep, and if you tend to shift, a body pillow can help anchor you in a better orientation. Position number 4, sleeping in a recliner chair as your primary sleep surface. Now this one surprises people because on the surface it sounds harmless, comfortable even. A lot of people end up sleeping in a recliner because of acid reflux, because they snore less upright, because getting in and out of bed has become difficult, or simply because they fell asleep watching TV and it became a habit. And look, for short naps or occasional rest, it's not a crisis. But as your primary sleep position night after night, a recliner creates a set of problems that are worth understanding. When you sleep semi-upright in a recliner, your hips are bent and locked in that seated angle for hours. Your hip flexors are shortened. Your glutes are compressed against the seat. Your spine is typically in a mild forward flexion because most recliners don't support the lumbar curve the way a good mattress and positioning system can. And your legs are often elevated at an angle that's fine for blood return but can put subtle strain on the knee joints over a full night. There's also the shoulder issue. Most people in a recliner let their shoulders and head fall to one side as they drift into deep sleep. Which brings us right back to the cervical rotation problem we talked about with stomach sleeping. There's another concern with long-term recliner sleeping that I think deserves mention. A study from researchers at Emory University found that sleeping in a sitting or semi-reclined position is associated with reduced sleep quality and less time in the deeper, restorative sleep stages, the stages where your body does the majority of its physical repair work. So it's not just about position mechanics. It's about whether you're actually getting the recovery your body needs. The alternative, addressing the root cause and returning to a proper sleep surface with adjustments. This one is a bit different because the alternative isn't just a different position. It's about solving whatever drove someone to the recliner in the first place. If it's acid reflux, elevating the head of the bed with a wedge pillow often works better than a recliner because it keeps the spine more aligned while still using gravity to reduce reflux. If it's snoring or sleep apnea, that's a conversation worth having with a doctor because there are real solutions. If it's pain getting in and out of bed, there are bed rails and adjustable bases that can make a significant difference. I know that sounds like more work than just staying in the recliner, but the recliner is a workaround that comes with its own costs. And for most people, those costs show up slowly, in sleep quality, in morning stiffness, in joint health, until they're significant enough to be hard to ignore. So with those two, and with all 4 positions now on the table, let's bring this home. So now you know what's causing the damage. The harder question is how to actually change it, because knowing is the easy part, and going to bed tonight in the exact same position you always have is going to be a very tempting option. You can watch a video like this, nod along, think, yeah, that makes sense, and that's where it ends. And I get it. Sleep habits are some of the most deeply ingrained habits we have. You're not consciously choosing your position. You drift into it. Your body has a default, and it goes there automatically. So the question isn't just what should I do, it's how do I actually make this stick? And the answer, honestly, is to make it physical. Don't just decide to change. Set up your sleep environment so the better position is the path of least resistance. If you're trying to get off your stomach, a body pillow placed in front of you creates a physical barrier that nudges you onto your side or back before you fully settle. If you're working on keeping your knees supported, put the pillow in place before you get into bed, not after, so it's already there when you lie down. If the arm position is your issue, try sleeping with your arm along a body pillow so there's nowhere natural to tuck it under your head. Small environment changes beat willpower every time. That's just how habits work. And give it time, real time, not 3 nights. Most people need 2 to 4 weeks before a new sleep position starts feeling natural rather than effortful. The first week might feel a little restless. That's normal. Your body is recalibrating. Stay with it. One more thing I want to address, because I know some of you are thinking it. What about people who move around during the night? What if you fall asleep in the right position and then shift into a bad one halfway through? Movement during sleep is actually healthy. You're not trying to lie like a statue. What you're trying to do is reduce the amount of time spent in the most damaging positions, and the first half of the night matters most. That's when you're in your deepest sleep cycles and least likely to shift spontaneously anyway. A good pillow setup does more work than most people expect. A pillow between your knees makes it physically harder for your pelvis to rotate into a bad position. A body pillow anchors your whole orientation. Neither is foolproof, but they meaningfully cut down how often you drift into the positions that cause the most damage. Pillow height is the one that gets overlooked almost every time. If your pillow is too high or too low, your neck is out of alignment regardless of everything else you've done right. The goal is a straight line from your spine, through your neck, to your head, not propped up, not dropping down. Side sleepers generally need a firmer, thicker pillow. Back sleepers need less. Small adjustment, real difference. And this is what I want to leave you with. Sleep isn't passive. We talk about it like it's just rest, like nothing is happening. But your body is working while you sleep, repairing tissue, rehydrating the discs in your spine, clearing metabolic waste from the brain. It's doing all of that quietly in the background every night, and the position you're in for those 6 to 8 hours either supports that process or quietly works against it. You've probably spent a lot of time and energy thinking about what you eat, how you move, how you manage stress. Sleep position is the piece that most people never think about at all, and it's happening every single night. Think about where you want to be a year from now, how you want to feel when you wake up in the morning, whether that's stiffness, that ache, that tingling, whether it gets better or whether it just quietly gets accepted as normal. You have more control over that than you might think, and it starts with something as simple as where you put a pillow tonight. If this video gave you something useful, subscribe. There's a lot more coming on sleep, joint health, and how to take care of your body in a way that actually makes a difference in how you live. I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourself.